The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter. The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Leadership Podcast. We are on to another edition of The Big Issue. And of course, as usual, I'm your regular host. George Agba is my name. And with me here in the studio are our very cerebral in-house analyst. We have Silas Ezeugu.
Welcome today.
And David Taka.
Good to be back.
Well, the big issue for the day is danger in the land as terrorists become more daring. And of course, we are talking in respect of the attack on the presidential convoy on its way to Katsina ahead of the Salah celebration, and the attack on Kuje prison facility last night. Tuesday's ferocious attack by Boko Haram terrorists on Kuje Correctional Center, and the attacks by bandits on the convoy of President Buhari in Katsina has raised very serious concern about the growing security in the land. Of course, the manner in which the daredevil gunmen deployed bombs, rocket propelled grenades, and general purpose machine guns, and freeing no less than 600 inmates, including Boko Haram fighters detained at the facility in the nation's capital, suggests how porous the country has become. But the Minister of Defense, Major General Magaji, said of the 994 inmates at the prison facility, 600 escaped. And the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Mohammed Bello, and the Commissioner of Police, who were presently at the scene, were told by prisons officials that at the end of the attack, following a call taken at 2 a.m. on Wednesday, only 111 inmates were left. And of course, on the way to Katsina, the advance team of the president were attacked by daredevil bandits who shot at the presidential motorcade, injuring two. And of course, they were repelled by the security operatives on that convoy. David Taka, we are talking of a situation that has really overwhelmed Nigerians. Most Nigerians are speechless. You remember we were here last week, we were talking about this insecurity situation. And again, we are here today talking about the same thing, but at a very higher level. Bandits, terror groups now gather such courage to attack the president's convoy or in the nation's capital, operating for 3 hours on a prison facility without security operatives doing anything about it. Then the attacker, most Nigerians say there is no security again in the land.
Well, it's not just most Nigerians. That is what an average Nigerian thinks. First of all, how long does it take Nigerian security operatives to respond to an attack? Now, we're talking about a prison facility. It's supposed to be guarded by armed men. It happened, and it still took how many hours for reinforcement to come? What if it happens to a community that is not armed? So you can see why those guys operate freely. How long does it take for the reinforcement to come? our response time. We need to ask questions, and our security operatives need to look at the response time. How long does it take to respond to a distress call? For the attack on the president, I think they just want to show him that we are still here. You've been dishing out orders without maybe a follow-up action. You're not matching your orders with words, with action. So we are here. We can even attack your convoy. That's what it means. So if now that he's a president, they can attack his convoy, what happens when he becomes a former president? It shows the land as, in fact, those guys can, that means they can operate in any part of this country. Go free. Go free.
Silas, it is not even a thing that everybody, you see, you can even observe that as I'm talking, say my voice is mellow. Mellow, because at the end of the day, most Nigerians who had even been talking authoritatively, accusing the government of ineptitude and all that, some of them are throughout today. Go to the social media. People are even afraid to speak because the impression is that we have these criminals now in our midst. Because after breaking out, let's not think we will go to their village and then look at the manner in which that attack. It was like a Nollywood movie. These people went planted bombs. The armed security men guiding the security facility, the prison facility, did not even notice that people were we were planting bombs. After planting, they retreated back, blew the place so that there would be an opening. All that didn't happen. They stayed there and ensured there. The inmates came out safely. Then they escorted them. Nobody, no response. 3 hours operation. Silence. And then one will say such a thing will just happen and it will be criminals that will just come doing it without insider assistance.
Wait, when I'm looking for the kind of words to approach this issue, and my language bank phrased me. But I'm not angry. I'm just deflated. You've reached you are past the level of being angry. At the failures.
Honestly.
And look, so is that how far we can do?
Anyway, one of the things David Dakar that honorably would have started vibrating. Observing that he lacks the fluency of language. Which to
everybody, most people are solemn today because these attacks are symbolic.
Of course.
One against the president himself. The president could have been on that convoy.
Of course.
And he could have been killed. The bandits killed the Nigerian president in way to his hometown. That is a symbolic strike. Then they came to the heart of Abuja,
the nation's capital. A place that will be considered the safest in the country.
And this has always prided itself.
Some very few meters, kilometers away from the seat of power.
Nigerians have always been kidnapped in the federal capital. I don't think it's safe. It has never been safe.
They were kidnapped, quietly. But this time around, they came out in a big bang.
They attacked the University of Abuja. You remember
that time, yes. And the certain point government has reason to brag about from the time they took over and now that Abuja used to be the place of attacks of Boko Haram, and that's not happening again. But yes, this investment attack and this one has shattered the whole thing. I don't know. I will not completely say that they didn't do anything. But they supposedly didn't do anything for 3 hours. Some of the posts I had was that they were able to kill like 3 or 4 to that local people talking, and that a civil defense officer has also gone down in the process. Well, I have not really known whether that's been confirmed. Every caller said they saw 4 bodies on the ground, and they could have been Boko Haram attackers were gone down by the Nigerian security forces. But the Vifaka says something very, very telling. What is the response time? Very important. What is the first part there was that there was reinforcement within 30 minutes. That, to me, that if it was so, why would it last 3 hours?
That is the point. And
what kind of reinforcement was that?
Don't forget, see what the insurgency did.
We need to prove
What the
When you say
insurgents?
probe now, you get process because every probe goes somewhere, and once the
When
cooler
it
balloon
happens,
happens,
they will tell you we are going to do this and do this, and nothing happens.
What the insurgents did was to attack through the back door. After attacking the back of the prison, they now came in. Then they took their time to start planting bombs.
See,
After
let me
planting,
tell you something. There is no way you
So
keep
imagine-
high profile criminals in a prison and you will not give that prison the kind of protection
It
and
requires.
that it requires.
That's
If this thing, if as this one went successful, we should know, people should answer questions. They should know that there are insiders who work with those guys. It's not possible for
Of
them
course.
to just come and get this job.
Look
done.
at
It's not possible.
look at the situation. Even had to force the relocation of other high-profile detainees,
Those
like
who-
Deputy Commissioner of Police,
who didn't need to run
the
away.
Super Corps, Abakari.
In fact, I came on
Yes.
studio, I has read that in the Minister of Defense or so, was saying 64 Boko Haram inmates, terrorists, escaped. This guy came for their members. I think even Calvary, Scotland, and so will be there, and they have been systematically attacking prisons where the members have been kept. In fact, by December 2021, they had attacked 13 prisons and freed people. More than 5,000 people
So
freed.
we did not take precaution.
So those are, I think, more than half of those inmates have not returned. So some of them are still part of those who are attacking prisons. It's not a good thing to talk about.
It's worrisome, and the situation here is that if this happens, then Nigerians, especially residents of Abuja, they should have it at the back of their mind that whatever they are doing it in the midst of criminals. Well, we will take a short break, and when we come back, we will begin to see the implication of such kind of attacks on national security and what can be done to address this, because it seems security operatives are overwhelmed in the country. Well, it's expected that our viewers will contribute constructively to the conversation on the big issue. I will come back. We expect that we'll begin to see their comments. Don't go offline. We'll be back in a moment.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
The Big Issue. Breaking down the issues that matter.
Welcome back. We're still on the big issue in Leadership Podcast. And of course, the big issue of the day is the attack on the Kuje Correctional Facility and the presidential motorcade. Feelers now is that the president visited the correctional center at Kuje. And of course, we know President Buhari has never been this kind of a person that will always oblige anybody with a visit, especially when they talk of attacks on community. But I think that alone would have underscored the enormity and the gravity of these particular attacks. And that would have actually rattled the president from his cocoon. And just like you rightly said, Vitaka, we have always been hearing of marching orders by the president. Buhari gives marching orders to security service chiefs, security, and the security chiefs themselves, especially the service chiefs, will come out and tell you everything is in control. Within the next few weeks, months, we would have actually eliminated the Boko Haram terrorists, the bandits, and the rest. All that will always give rise to more daring attacks. Don't you think it is even wise now for the president to stop giving marching orders and the service chief coming to promise what they cannot do?
The marching order he is giving is just, for me, it's just he wants to entertain Nigerians. I don't think there's nothing presidential about those orders. Because you give an order for this thing, for something to be done. 3 months after, you mean you don't get reports?
No sign.
If you have reports and that person fails to do the job, can't you bring another person to do the job? You know, there was early this week, there was an attack. Troops were ambushed in Niger State. More than 30 died. More than 30 soldiers died.
30 young men, well-trained soldiers,
died.
A soldier and a captain.
So after this attack, we have this one here. The trained attack people have spent 3 months plus. Does it mean our intelligence don't know where those guys are?
They know. If I say they ever hear their conversation.
So what is stopping them from rescuing those people? So if we cannot even protect Nigerians, don't keep high-profile people, they still come and attack. In fact, I think Nigerians should be asking the government what is happening.
Of course.
It's the government that we should be asking. We should not even be saying.
I've seen some groups calling on the president to resign.
Of course, because
they have totally failed Nigerians.
I
don't know whether that would be the best way out. Whether resigning will, but there's a complete lack of capacity to govern.
There's no direction.
They used to use the word clueless for Jonathan.
I don't know. There's any word more than that. That's the word we should be using.
Is even a euphemism for what's happening here.
If there's any word,
they use clueless for Jonathan. This one, I don't know which word is worse than clueless.
So what words do you think you can use now for this particular situation?
I'm looking for that kind of word. That's why at the beginning I said I can't find the word to express how I feel. I feel completely.
The serving president, he can't even access his community. Then think of an ordinary man within that community.
And then we'll even be wondering whether the president will still proceed to Katsina. It was the advanced team proceeding to Katsina ahead of the president's visit to the state for the Salah celebration. It is tradition that the first Salah, which was how do they call it? This one is Eid Fitr. The first Salah,
the big Salah.
The president is always in Abuja, where he will actually receive Muslim faithful on homage. Then the second Salah, which appears to be the biggest, the president has. I think this is what they do, the slaughtering of rams. The president does that in his hometown of Dara, and the advanced team of the president, the one that is conveying the president's convoy. And you see the president's motorcade. In that motorcade, what happens is that there's a big lorry, very white. That is where they will put the president's personal car he uses, convey it from Abuja there. That big lorry carries the car, and then other vehicles in that convoy. It's very long. And of course, if you see, that is the most intimidating convoy you can ever see on the road. And length, and then you see behind, you see soldiers. In front, you see soldiers.
Yes, they had the
presidential task force. This one's trained in Israel. Then you have the mopos. You have the
and they had the temerity to attack such a convoy.
Civil defense.
I said this is symbolic.
We have Air Force. We have Navy. Yes, all in that. Yes. You see how long that convoy.
In fact, that Air Force could have radioed their office to bring a support.
The movement is enough to make somebody.
I had detected
afraid.
The same day that I attacked.
Then you see people who have the mind to ambush and begin to attack. Man, that means this country is something else.
Anyway, I learned that the president was planning to go to Senegal today for one hotel.
No, of course, he did. I think after the visiting, he was on his way to the airport.
No,
so he had to go to.
You see what people are talking about. And now, you can say his advice to whatever it is. Should call his security chiefs and take an account of what happened and find out how to go from here.
It
If
was-
he needs to remove them, remove them.
It
But you can't just go over it and travel and
It
come
was-
back and say
this,
it's
this
okay.
whole thing. Last year, we know
Hmm.
you counted about 13 that happened.
Yes.
Mm.
From the day end
was-
sex program protest to December
Okay, from
2021.
20. Okay, that's from 2020 to that.
Yes,
Is,
October.
is there any report that says so person have been reprimanded for maybe failure duty? Nobody.
I can't. See then people talk.
You
Let's have
you,
surveillance
telling me,
cameras.
are you telling me you never investigated any of those things and to come up with
A way out.
a way out so that you can forestall any future occurrence? If
Yeah.
we are not doing all these things, that means we don't really like we say Nigerians, an average Nigerian life is at the mercy of the criminals. The same thing as it is now, even our men in uniform too. Their lives are at the mercy.
Yes, now.
I know the guys. I know when you're on that kind of duty, whatever rifle they give you, you're going to carry 2 magazines.
How many bullets?
Each magazine will carry nothing more than 30. So 30 plus 30, that's 60.
60 bullets.
And you are
when you
fighting for 3 hours,
And
2
then
hours.
you're
Mm.
expected to use that for 3, 4 hours to defend yourself. And that, knowing our system, I know there's no way you tell me there's maybe even the armory there will not have what they need to. When those people come with this kind of military grade weapons, you also need higher grade weapons to fight them.
To fight them, of course.
And bigger numbers.
And
Yes.
what those guys are, the people they are using may not be.
The only way you can repel
for them
such
to
criminals.
fall back and get higher weapons.
Yes. The only way you can
don't have that
repel
kind of
such
opportunity.
criminals is to respond
The
with
person-
superior gunfire.
The only thing that
Yes,
would have saved
firepower.
the situation is if,
Yeah.
as that thing was happening, as they radioed for emergency, this maybe 4 or 5 helicopters would be in the air.
Yes.
You
Nigeria
understand?
would have gone
So
to that.
once
I
you
think
have helicopter
Nigeria would
gunshots
have reached that
coming,
stage. Yes.
There's no way those guys will be able to.
Because they surround them.
There's
Because
no
we
way.
pick them out one by
But
one.
because those guys knew the weakness of the system,
Yes.
they knew even when we attack,
The president
Rest-
said
reinforcement will not come.
that he had given the army, the military, everything they needed.
They needed.
He said so.
You don't
So-
you don't ask the military to do the job of the police. Who does the policing? Where did those people come from?
And of course, that reminds me of David Taka.
How did even
It shows how poor our intelligence
How did
gathering
they
is.
how coordination between intelligence and the military and police? There's something
it
not
is-
working
I'm
out.
telling you. Okay, for
If we
instance,
had a policing system that works, why didn't we detect their movement?
yes,
See,
we have-
I heard on an analyst saying that there was intelligence that this attack will happen. Yet it happened.
So
I heard him in passing. I was talking on TV. Said there was intelligence that this attack was going to happen, and yet it was allowed to happen and happen successfully. That achieved their purpose.
So somebody
sitting
somewhere
on the
needs
job
to
there
answer.
and answering minister, answering IG, answering the military chief.
we don't have
What
intelligence
else
in
is
this
happening
country
with-
because you always see the DSS will always uncover plots
See, the DSS said
of a political manipulation, like they uncovered plot on something.
But they will not know when.
But when it has to do with
criminals want
very
to attack.
critical
one
security,
senior professional told me that when I went for a security meeting, the DGS told them that before any attacks, that no governor can claim that before any attack happens in their state, they don't get advance warning. And no governor can claim
So
so.
when you give the advice,
And
What?
I don't know what.
your job, you have an obligation. When you give them that warning and they don't act on it, you take all the security agencies take orders from the president. When you give and the governor does not act, what should you now do? You have an obligation to. You're doing your job.
All the governors they even control the troops. The
don't.
drugs stop at the president's table.
So when you advise, you now take measures. It's not just advising the governors. No.
well,
For you to advise and not
let's-
take any measures, that means you've also failed.
let's now look at this situation. What now becomes the fate of Nigerians? Because I think the apprehension and the fear now is that these criminals that have been released are now like Rambo on the loose, operating at sight everywhere, and then you see a situation where you will now be moving even at night or in the daytime.
You are afraid.
You are afraid because you don't know who you are moving with or who is close here. It's just like you're in the midst of terrorists.
No, apart from just this one, the catalog of 13 or 14, 15
They
previous
are still,
attacks,
they are still, they are still in the
more
government.
than 50 or 60% of them are not been accounted for. They're still out there. Some of them have joined to attack this prison. And these ones, This is 64% of the Boko Haram members have been released. So they also join the pool of those who are attacking other places. And it's a question of time to hear about another prison being attacked. If we knew that, in fact, let me tell you, I'm not surprised they attacked Kuje, because some of the high-profile terrorists have been brought there.
But
And
you don't keep high-profile criminals in a place without security.
You see, very tight, heavy security.
And this is even a medium security prison.
Of course.
Not a high. When Americans wanted to do it, they sent it to Katsina Bay. We put this one along with other criminals and pickpockets in a medium security prison.
You don't do that.
And then you didn't provide the technology to surround the place with surveillance to monitor every movement there. People have to account for their work.
And there's money budgeted for all these things. So when they don't do it, such things happen.
No, let me tell you. Some of the money, we have seen some of the money rising up in the states by military personnel. Go around all the Abuja, you see estates springing up, and all security, military. That's some of the money is going. I'm sorry to say that, but what I'm saying is, I talk to some people on the street, and that's what they're telling me, that they know where the money is going. They cannot prove it, but they feel that some of this money we're talking about and is not being deployed for what it is meant. And there's no accountability.
We have institutions that are supposed to monitor all these things, but they are not doing their job.
But they say that
I think
investigated.
even the security measures being taken are very funny. For instance, now in FCT, what they are after is to close parks by 7.
I wonder the kind of thinking
you can imagine. And at the end of the day, you begin to wonder what kind of security risks are in parks, and how many have you heard have been attacked?
You're shutting down parks. You don't want people to do their legitimate businesses, but you allow terrorists to come
attack. So, Silas, in a nutshell, what could actually be the way forward in this issue? Quickly before we round up.
I think that for once, the present government, led by General Muhammad Buhari, needs to begin to take his officers, his ministers, his security aides to account for their negligence, for their failures, and for all the money he has budgeted. This government has budgeted a lot of money for security. They need to account for him, how they spend the money, how they spend the money for the work he gave them. There need to be accountability. Because if people knew that they fail on their job, they will be held accountable for it. They will sit up and do it. It's either you don't want to do it, don't want to do it, to get out. If you say you are doing this, so you have to do it, and what? You do it well. That's the only thing I can say. But if he doesn't hold them to account, in today's story in our newspaper, we said impunity and corruption is what is impeding some things from working in Nigeria. It's impunity and corruption and negligence to duty. That is what is stopping us from fighting this security war very, very well.
And David Taka by now would have been expecting that serious military operations would have been ongoing, where we would have been expecting that the military forces would have been combing most of the forest and areas.
Did they come Kaduna Forest when it happened in March? It is not, sometimes I don't really blame the military sometimes. We need to get our policing right. Whatever the police needs should be given to them, and we should make sure they do their job. Most times you walk along the streets, you don't find any policeman anywhere. Anywhere you see them, they are busy stopping vehicles, trying to extort money from
yesterday, somebody was begging me, I will not search you, give me money, I don't want to search you. I was like, what's in the midnight?
Instead of doing your
telling
job,
me that you will not touch me because of that, I should give you money. Can you imagine the favor he was giving me?
So
if I was carrying bombs there, I'll give you money and I'll pass.
For me, the where we should start from is asking the police to sit up and do their job. Once the police do their job, and the military can only come in to support,
some back,
because mind you, there's a way military will respond to these issues. We'll start shouting
civilian casualties, and the rest.
Of course, if we get the mobile policing, that's supposed to be that they were supposed to be the ones to bring reinforcement. They should be the ones to reinforce first. When it gets out of hand, that's when the military will come in.
Well,
but we never had those things. The first thing we now start shouting military. You can't expect the military to be everywhere and do the job of the police.
Well, that is the much we can take for today's big issue. And of course, the country is no more safe. Right here in the nation's capital, It's as if we are actually going about our daily activities in the midst of die-hard criminals, terrorists, and bandits. Because those who escaped from Kuje prison are still in our midst. And until the government and the security forces do everything they can to mop up and then get them arrested and return them, we are in trouble. And of course, the advice to most Nigerians is that be careful where you go and how you operate. And of course, always give information about your whereabouts. Avoid keeping late night. Thank you for keeping tab with us. And of course, I'll thank our in-house analysts for addressing the big issue the way it should be. Join us same time tomorrow for another edition of The Big Issue. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.